All right, what's going on, guys? It's Fast Cars, Fast Money, and we are back. It is Atlanta this week, and we finally have the Truck Series back. The Truck Series was off last week, so we got Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup to break down. And right now, we're going to be looking at the Truck Series, and we have Rich back. Rich is back with us to help break down the slate. So happy to have him back. But looking at the Truck Series for this video, it's another Kyle Busch week. So Kyle Busch is entered in the race, and it's interesting because usually Kyle Busch starts really deep in the field, but this week he's going to be starting on the front row. So it's a little bit of a different Kyle Busch than we haven't seen in the past. But looking at Atlanta is a track that is really worn out. So the tire fall off is insane. You're going to see, probably 3-4 seconds of lap difference between guys that are on fresh tires at the beginning of a run compared to where they are at the end of the run. So, tire management's could be really key. So I really like some of the veteran drivers who have experience with, dealing with that before and who aren't just going to drive, all out and then completely tear up their tires. At the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, these guys just love to wreck. So there's going to be a ton of cautions. The field's going to get re-racked a bunch of times. The truck race really isn't too long, but look for a lot of restarts, look for a lot of chaos. So you just kind of have to, unfortunately, almost sometimes just get lucky avoiding those wrecks. But I'm expecting a lot of caution flags for the truck race and the Xfinity race. The other thing is, Rich and I are really going to be focusing on fast laps and kind of like lap leaders, so like dominator potential. There's a lot of good PD plays on the slate, but you really want to try to get the guys in there that are going to get you those potential dominator points. I think Rich and I are pretty confident on who's going to get a majority of them, but he's probably not going to get all of them. So you want to try to mix and match and get as many of those guys in your lineup. So don't overpay for PD if that equipment really can't move as forward as maybe some of the other plays that are a little bit further up in the field. But is there anything else, Rich, that you had specifically for the Truck Series?
Nope. Let's get into it.
Okay. I'll let you start then with some of the most expensive guys on the slate, from Kyle Busch down to Tyler Ankrum.
All right. Well, in this range, it's Kyle Busch. I think we're both pretty confident in Kyle Busch. He's starting on the front row. I really don't see any of these guys beating him on the initial run. They may get him on pit road or some of the restarts in the middle of the race, but I think for the early part we have to go with Kyle Busch, and he's probably going to dominate the majority of this race. Moving on down from him, like Ross Chastain, he's a great cash play, starting 40th. He's going to move up. He'll likely be in the top 10 at the end. But for this race, with how it's not super short, but we definitely want dominator points, and he's not really going to be able to offer that in his starting position. I like Austin Hill. It might be a little tough to get back up there in salary if you're playing Kyle Busch. It's possible. The Hattori car is really good on 1.5 miles, 1.5 mile tracks. Austin Hill is really good on these 1.5 mile tracks, so I don't mind this play at all. And then the next two guys, they're all right. I would rather play Ankrum over Zane Smith just for the PD upside that Ankrum has. Zane, he can finish around where he starts, but I don't really see him dominating that much in this race. And where he's starting at, you really need him to dominate.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. Like, the only guy I'm interested in some of these guys, but the main guy I'm going to be building my lineups around is Kyle Busch, and I think this is a race that he can truly dominate. I mean, usually he starts deep in the field, and it takes him about maybe halfway through stage 2 or at the beginning of stage 2 until he's towards the front of the field and can pick up some of the lap leading points and even the fast laps. But having him start on the front row, like, I can easily see him just getting the lead from lap 1 and running away with it. And as far as I know, there's no competition caution for the truck race just because it is a shorter race. So stage one isn't necessarily that long, but I think he can, as long as he doesn't speed on pit road and, yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. As long as he doesn't speed on pit road, he should be out front for the entire race. So I think he's easily the best play on the slate, and I'm going to be building all my lineups around him. Like you said, Chastain's good, but if you're playing Kyle Busch, you can't pay up for both of those guys. Austin Hill, really good at the 1.5 mile tracks. It's just tough if you're playing Kyle Busch to fit him in. There's some other guys in like the 9K and the 8K range that I think offer some good upside at a cheaper price. And then Zane Smith and Ankrum. Ankrum is really expensive. Ankrum really isn't that good of a driver. The only reason he's priced up all the way there is because he starts 30th, and DraftKings is making you pay for that place differential. So he's a good play in cash, but when it comes to GPPs, I'm going to be looking elsewhere. What about the 8K guys? If you're playing Kyle Busch, are you looking to pair him with a Sheldon Creed, a Nemechek, Moffitt, or Enfinger at all?
Well, yeah. I mean, in this range, we have 3 of the 4 guys as high interest, so we definitely like most of them here. I like Sheldon Creed. He's one of the top drivers in this series. It's going to be tough to get many dominator points with Kyle Busch in the race as well, but he can definitely sneak in and get some fast laps, maybe get a few laps led somewhere in the middle of the race. I don't mind this play at all. He'll probably finish in the top 3, top 4. Moving on to John Hunter Nemechek. He's starting on the pole right next to Kyle Busch. He's beaten Kyle Busch in a truck before, so it's definitely possible that it happens again. But again, I really lean towards Kyle Busch dominating most of this race. So it would be Sheldon Creed and John Hunter Nemechek would probably be my next 2 favorite guys that could potentially dominate or win this race over Kyle Busch. I'm not really too interested in Brett Moffitt. The equipment's just not as great as the guys around him in this price range. He can probably finish around 10th, maybe top 7, but like that's not going to really pay off when you need dominator points. And I do like Enfinger here. He was really fast at this track last year. He's back in the 98 truck this week, and he offers a little PD upside, and maybe he'll snag a handful of fast laps for you, but that's about it. He should pay off that price tag though.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat where I'm banking on Kyle Busch just basically hogging all the dominator points. So even though John Hunter Nemechek starts on the front row and there's a good chance, for him to get the early jump, before Kyle Busch does, if you're, debating between, okay, is Kyle Busch or John Hunter Nemechek going to lead and dominate, who has a better chance of doing that? 9 times out of 10, I'm going to go with Kyle Busch. So if he is the one taking up all the dominator points, John Hunter Nemechek might be the second best truck in the field. But if Kyle Busch is running away with it and taking laps led and the fast laps, I think it kind of limits John Hunter's upside. I still think he's a solid play, and I still think he can finish, top 3. But in that sense, I think I'm kind of leaning with you of like, hey, let me drop down to a Grant Enfinger or maybe even a Sheldon Creed who can probably run decently as fast as Nemechek does, and they get you a little bit more of the PD upside. I think John Hunter Nemechek's dominator upside is limited just because Kyle Busch is starting on the front row. If Kyle Busch was starting like 30th or something, I'd love to play both of them. But having them both start on the front row, I think makes it a little bit difficult there. Ben Rhodes, Parker Kligerman, Matt Crafton, Stuart Friesen, Derek Krauss. A lot of these guys we have kind of low interest in. I just don't see Ben Rhodes really moving up too much further than where he starts. Parker Kligerman is usually a solid play, but he usually starts basically last and has a bunch of place differential potential, whereas he starts 15th. He'll probably finish around there, which might be okay. I don't hate him in lineups, but I just don't know if there's enough upside there to pay off his price. Matt Crafton starts 3rd. That's way too close to the front of the field. Not confident in that. Stuart Friesen was pretty fast at Las Vegas, which was the last track that we saw the Truck Series run. So if he can bring that speed again, he might be able to work off, but again, he's risky starting fourth. And then Derek Krauss is someone that Rich and myself both really like. He's cheap. He's really easy to fit in lineups. We've seen this truck run well before. It has top 10 speed, and that's really all you need for a guy at 8,100 is to finish relatively in the top 10. And when he starts, basically 30th, that's another additional 20 place differential points you're going to get as well.
Yeah, in this range, I definitely think Derek Krauss is the best play. I think I've looked at Stuart Friesen alongside Krauss in a couple of the lineups I looked at, but I think in this range, the only guy I've really looked at is Derek Krauss. He's just that car is a top 10 car every week. Sometimes he gets into trouble and makes a mistake, but it's that car is fast, and I love playing Derek Krauss every week. He's made me a lot of money.
Yeah, I guess stick on the hot hand. Why don't you keep rolling through with the 7K guys there, starting at Sauter, going down to Spencer Davis.
All right, you can see we have most of these plays at medium through here. They're all not terrible plays. They're mainly guys you want for finishing position because they all have a chance. Well, Johnny Sauter, Lessard, Chandler Smith, and Todd Gillan all have a chance to finish in the top 10. They're those cars are pretty decent. The only one I'm really looking at in this range though is Raphael Lessard. The GMS trucks are pretty quick, and he should have no problem getting into the top 10.
Yeah, I like Lessard a lot as well in this range. He's really easy to fit in if you're paying up for Kyle Busch and like a Sheldon Creed or a John Hunter Nemechek. Some of those more expensive plays. He's really easy to fit in and pair with guys like that we just mentioned. Sauter is okay. I haven't really seen Sauter work out the last couple of years in NASCAR DFS wise, so I don't feel too confident there. I think Lessard will probably gather a lot of ownership just because he's in a GMS truck and he starts 23rd, but I'm okay with that. I think it's worth it. Chandler Smith, someone who I think is interesting. He's in the same equipment as Kyle Busch and John Hunter Nemechek. So I probably would only target him in GPPs. I definitely would not play him in cash. If anyone's going to spin out and getting into issues, it's usually Chandler Smith. But we've seen him run, the top 8 before, and at his price, if he can do that, it's going to be a solid play. Todd Gillan, just that equipment, I think it's taken a step backwards. Usually he only really runs well on the kind of like the flatter, shorter track. So not interested there with the 1.5s. And then Truex and Spencer Davis are okay. I just don't think they have as much upside. If you can pay up a couple $100 extra and get up to Lessard, he has more upside in the GMS equipment than Truex or Davis does. But they start so deep that they should be able to move forward with, especially with the amount of wrecks that we predict there to be in the race. And then I'll keep going through, and then I'll swing it back over to you, Rich. So Chase Purdy is okay. Every week we see him start, kind of mid 20s or late 20s, and he gains a lot of ownership because people see, hey, this is a GMS truck starting deep in the field, but we just haven't seen him move forward. Like it's the same situation every week, and usually it doesn't work out. So it's good equipment, just not that great of a driver. Tanner Gray, I like Tanner Gray a lot. He starts 14th, which might lower his ownership a little bit because people might see Chase Purdy starting 26th and jump to that, or even Haley Deegan right below Tanner Gray, starting 28th, and see that attractive place differential potential and go there. Whereas I actually think Tanner Gray is probably has a better finishing potential than either Chase Purdy or Haley Deegan. So I'm very interested there. I still like Haley Deegan. She should be able to keep her truck clean and, be there at the end. Timothy Peters, we've seen this truck for a couple of weeks now. It's okay. I would say it's probably top 22, top 18 speed in the truck, but he starts 16th. So he really has to have a good day to kind of pay off his price. And his starting spot really limits his upside. Bill Lester's back, but he hasn't raced in years, and he's going to be jumping into a race with no practice, no qualifying. His first laps are going to be the green flag of the truck race. So it might take him, maybe until stage 3, until we see him moving up. But if he can keep his truck clean, then he'll be okay. I just think he might get ownership, and if he's getting ownership, I'm going to look elsewhere. And then Jordan Anderson just starts too close to the front of the field for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on Tanner Gray and Haley Deegan. I like Haley Deegan. I still think, she's learning a lot about all these tracks, like in race, during the race. She's having to learn how to drive each corner, where to make her moves, when she can make moves. But like if she keeps this truck clean, it's quick enough to finish in the top 20 and pay off that price tag easily. But in this range, Tanner Gray is probably the best play. I think he might go a little bit under owned, like you said, just because of his starting position. Even if he finishes right where he starts, he's going to pay off that price tag, and that's a very good bet that he could do that. And then moving on down into these quote unquote punts, as we like to call them. The only person I'm really interested through here is Carson Hocevar. Me and Andrew really agree on that one. The Nice trucks, they're not like dominator trucks, really. They're not going to give you any dominator points. It's tough to get any dominator points in this race with Kyle Busch anyway. But they're top 12 cars or trucks just about every week. So I have no problem playing Carson Hocevar. And then any of the other guys we have listed at medium or low are all right to play if you're making multiple lineups. But I definitely feel like Carson Hocevar is the best play in this range.
Yeah, this is usually the range that, Rich and myself, we really look at our lines, and this is where we really try to shrink our player pool and say, okay, if we are punting with, and if you're playing Kyle Busch, like, you're going to have to pay down if you're paying all the way up to get him. What punts are going to add value? What punts are going to be in play? And like Rich said, anyone that's medium, high, or even low are going to be in our player range. So we're going to be building lineups, with those guys involved. Anyone that has none, maybe they'll sneak into a lineup or two, but most likely we're going to be, much higher on Hocevar, for example, who we've seen run well in the Nice equipment, and he's really cheap. He's really easy to fit in the lineups. Brett Holmes, I know he didn't work out in the Las Vegas race, but he just got into trouble and it kind of ruined his day. But before he got into trouble, that truck was running pretty well. So he starts 35th. He should easily be able to move forward. Corey Roper, we think there's going to be a lot of cautions in this race. If he can avoid them, he'll be able to move forward. Cody Robot is interesting. He starts 20th, which is a little scary, but we just saw Grant Enfinger outrun all the Thor Sport trucks in that 9 equipment. So it's good equipment compared to the guys that it's priced around. So, we've even seen Robot run well in the 9 truck before. So I don't want to just completely count him out. And then Ryan Ellis and Ogata, I think that's how you pronounce his name. They just start so deep in the field that if there are wrecks, they can move forward. But yeah, I think Rich and I are kind of on the same page. Like, I think you lock in Kyle Busch and then you just try to, mix and match your lineups from there.
Yeah, you got to lock in Kyle Busch this week, especially in cash games. I know we said Ross Chastain is a cash play, but Kyle Busch is a cash play as well, and it's like basically impossible to get both of those guys in the same line. So we would lean towards the side of playing Kyle Busch in GPPs and cash games this week.
Yeah, so that's going to be it for the truck video. As always, thank you guys for tuning into our videos. All the support that you guys gave us last week was amazing. Thank you guys so much. If we're helping you in any way, liking the video, asking any questions in the comments below, subscribing to the channel, hopping over on Twitter. You can pull the spreadsheet up yourself. It's at FastCarsFM. Feel free to hit us up either on YouTube or on Twitter, whatever is easiest for you. And, either myself, Rich, or Coop will get back to you and try to help you out to build a winning lineup. But yeah, that's going to do it for the truck video. And you can come hop over on our Xfinity video and we'll catch you on that one.